Did you know there's a mountain range in Australia so unimaginably old, it's considered the Earth's second oldest continually exposed continental crust, dating back a shocking 4.4 billion years? Or that a single massive underground river system, the largest of its kind on Earth, holds enough ancient fresh water to fill the Great Lakes many times over? How about a vast, remote area the size of the entire United Kingdom that's officially marked on government maps as simply unsurveyed? Australia is not merely a country, it's a geological anomaly. It's the world's largest island, its smallest continent, and one of its most extreme and isolated landmasses. Its geography is defined by colossal scale, unimaginable age, and a climate that borders on the fantastical. It's a land of tectonic stability, massive deserts, and a unique biological refuge. Buckle up, we're going deep into 50 of the strangest, most detailed facts about Australia's geography you probably never knew. Fact 50. The smallest continent, largest island. Australia holds the geographical contradiction of being both the smallest continent and the largest island on Earth. It's the only continent that's also a single sovereign country. This official classification is based on its size and the fundamental fact that it sits entirely on its own major tectonic plate, the Indo-Australian Plate, defining it as a complete continental landmass, not merely a large island like Greenland. Fact 49. The oldest continually exposed land. Australia is considered the home of the world's most extensive area of cratons, the oldest, most stable parts of the continental crust. Specifically, parts of Western Australia's Yilgarn Craton contain ancient zircon crystals that date back over 4.4 billion years. This age means this land was forming and stabilizing shortly after the Earth itself, making Australia a living geological museum. Fact 48. The flat continent. Australia is famously the flattest continent on Earth, possessing the lowest average elevation of any landmass. This distinct lack of high, young, jagged mountain ranges is because the continent sits almost perfectly in the center of its tectonic plate, far away from the active subduction zones and plate boundaries that cause the dramatic mountain building found in the Americas or Asia. Fact 47. Mount Kosciuszko, the high point. The highest point on the Australian mainland is Mount Kosciuszko in the Snowy Mountains, reaching a relatively modest 7,310 feet, or 2,228 meters. Geologically, it's an extremely gentle, rounded peak, reflecting the extreme age and continuous erosion of Australia's ancient mountains over hundreds of millions of years, rather than the sharp, craggy, glaciated peaks of younger ranges like the Himalayas. Fact 46. The continent's average rainfall. Australia is the driest inhabited continent, receiving the least amount of average annual rainfall globally. This profound scarcity of water is the single most important geographical factor shaping its ecosystems, agriculture, and, crucially, its human settlement patterns, which are overwhelmingly concentrated in the small, humid coastal fringes of the continent. Fact 45. The massive coastline. Despite its arid interior, Australia possesses one of the longest and most diverse coastlines in the world, stretching approximately 35,877 miles, or 57,750 kilometers, when counting the perimeter of its thousands of surrounding islands. This vast, exposed boundary means the entire continent is heavily influenced by the surrounding ocean currents and weather systems, from the cold Southern Ocean up to the warm, tropical waters of the Coral Sea. Fact 44. The Nullarbor Plain. The Nullarbor Plain in South and Western Australia is one of the world's largest single pieces of exposed limestone bedrock, covering about 75,000 square miles. Its name, from the Latin nullus arbor, no tree, perfectly describes its geography. It is remarkably flat, lacks surface drainage, and is riddled with massive karst cave systems that penetrate deep into the limestone crust. Fact 43. The straightest road. Crossing the Nullarbor Plain is the Air Highway, which features a 90-mile, or 146-kilometer stretch known as the 90-mile Straight. This remarkable section is the longest stretch of perfectly straight road in Australia and one of the longest in the world, a direct result of the Nullarbor's unbelievably flat, geologically uniform geography that required virtually no engineering adjustments. Fact 42. The Great Dividing Range's length. Australia's most significant mountain chain is the Great Dividing Range, which runs for over 2,300 miles, or 3,700 kilometers, along the entire eastern coast from Queensland down to Victoria. While its peaks are not high, its sheer length and position are climactically critical, acting as a colossal barrier that traps moisture from the Pacific, defining the stark geographical split between the humid eastern coastal strip and the arid interior plains. Fact 41. The absence of volcanoes. Australia is virtually unique among the world's major continents for its complete lack of active volcanoes. Because the country is centrally located on a stable tectonic plate, far from any subduction zones or major plate boundaries, its deep geology is cold and static, contrasting sharply with the volcanic activity seen in its Pacific neighbors like New Zealand or Indonesia. Fact 40. The Great Artesian Basin. Beneath the central third of the continent lies the Great Artesian Basin, or GAB, the world's largest and deepest artesian groundwater basin. This massive, confined aquifer covers 22% of Australia's landmass and holds billions of megaliters of ancient, high-pressurized water, making it the single most important geographical feature for sustaining ranching and human outposts in the arid interior. Fact 39. The Inland Sea that never was. The vast, flat interior of Australia was once theorized by early explorers to be able to host an inland sea. While this concept was ultimately abandoned due to the low elevation and high evaporation rates, the GAB proves that a massive, albeit underground, sea of fresh water already exists beneath the continent's arid core, sustaining unique life forms in its depths. Fact 38. Lake Eyre, the lowest point. Lake Eyre, or Kadithanda, in South Australia is the lowest point on the continent, sitting about 50 feet or 15 meters below sea level. It's a massive and archaic, which means no outlet to the sea, ephemeral salt lake that rarely fills completely. When it does, it temporarily becomes the largest lake in Australia, dramatically changing the climate and supporting a huge influx of bird life. Fact 37. Australia's Great Desert System. Australia is home to a massive contiguous system of 10 major deserts and arid regions, including the Great Victoria and Tanami deserts. While they're not entirely barren, these regions cover approximately 1.3 million square miles, demonstrating the sheer, dominating scale of the continent's arid core and its impact on the nation's resource distribution. Fact 36. The Murray-Darling Basin. The Murray-Darling Basin in the southeast is Australia's largest and most economically significant river system. It drains an area the size of France and is the country's agricultural heartland. The system's low topographical gradient means the rivers are incredibly slow, meandering, and highly sensitive to both extreme drought and the massive, slow-moving floods that occasionally reshape the landscape. Fact 35. The Darling River's length. The Darling River is the third longest river in Australia at 1,472 miles, or 2,370 kilometers. It's notoriously unpredictable, often shrinking to a chain of disconnected waterholes during prolonged dry seasons, a process called disarticulation, and then swelling dramatically during major rainfall events, reflecting the continent's wild, extreme climate cycles. Fact 34. The Great Barrier Reef Scale. The Great Barrier Reef, running along the northeast coast of Queensland, is the world's largest structure made by living organisms. It's a vast coral ecosystem stretching over 1,400 miles, or 2,300 kilometers, and is clearly visible from outer space. Its sheer size and position fundamentally shape the marine geography, climate, and storm patterns of the Coral Sea. Fact 33. The Daintree Rainforest's age. The Daintree Rainforest in Queensland is widely recognized as the world's oldest continuously surviving tropical rainforest, estimated to be over 180 million years old. Its ancient geography and incredibly stable climate have preserved extremely primitive plant species that are the direct ancestors of modern flowering plants worldwide, giving it exceptional biological significance. Fact 32. Kimberley's Horizontal Falls. The horizontal falls in Western Australia's remote Kimberley region are a unique geographical phenomenon. They're not traditional waterfalls, but a spectacular tidal rush of water forced through two narrow coastal gorges. The immense 30-foot tides create a bottleneck that forces water through the gaps faster than it can flow out, creating the illusion of sideways flowing cascades. Fact 31. The unique spinifex grasslands. Vast areas of the arid interior are covered by a specific geographical feature, spinifex grasslands. This coarse, hardy, tufted grass is perfectly adapted to the thin, sandy soil and high temperatures of the desert core, forming hummocks that stabilize the sand and water, making the interior landscape distinctively Australian. Fact 30. The Blue Mountains Haze. The Blue Mountains near Sydney get their name from a natural geographical phenomenon. The dense, extensive eucalyptus forests release tiny droplets of eucalyptus oil that vaporize and mix with water vapor and dust in the air. This combination scatters blue light waves, creating the famous, constant bluish-purple haze that hangs over the range. Fact 29. The Simpson Desert's dunes. The Simpson Desert features the world's longest parallel sand dunes. These massive linear dunes, some stretching for over 125 miles or 200 kilometers, are a result of prevailing wind directions and a lack of stabilizing vegetation, which have created a dramatically ribbed, uniform landscape across the desert. Fact 28. Artesian springs and oases. Where the highly pressurized water from the Great Artesian Basin breaks the surface, it forms crucial artesian springs and mound springs. These isolated, naturally heated oases are vital ecological and geographical anchors in the arid environment, sustaining unique flora and fauna found nowhere else in the surrounding desert. Fact 27. The Australian Bights Cliffs. The coast of the Great Australian Bight in South Australia features the Bunda Cliffs, dramatic sheer limestone cliffs that stretch for hundreds of miles. These massive, unbroken coastal walls plunge directly into the ocean, offering some of the most rugged, exposed, and least accessible coastal geography on the continent. Fact 26. The Bass Strait Land Bridge. The shallow Bass Strait separating Tasmania from the mainland was a dry land bridge during the last ice age, allowing humans and animals to migrate freely. The present-day strait is a geographically important feature known for its consistently turbulent water and rough seas, funneling cold winds and currents between the Southern Ocean and the Tasman Sea. Fact 25. Tasmania's isolation. Tasmania is separated from the mainland, making it both geographically and biologically unique. Its cool, temperate climate and mountainous geography, particularly the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, were heavily shaped by massive glacial erosion from the last ice age, resulting in unique landscapes and species found nowhere else. Fact 24. Fraser Island. World's largest sand island. Fraser Island, or Kagari, off the coast of Queensland is the largest sand island in the world, stretching 75 miles or 120 kilometers. It's composed entirely of sand accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years, yet it features ancient rainforests and unique perched dune lakes, freshwater lakes formed by rainwater trapped in depressions above the water table. Fact 23. Uluru, Ayers Rock, the giant monolith. Uluru is one of the world's most famous monoliths, a single massive rock formation. It's composed of Arco sandstone and is actually the deeply exposed tip of an enormous layer of rock that extends far underground. Its vibrant red color comes from the intense oxidation or rusting of iron minerals concentrated on its surface. Fact 22. The Olgas, or Katachuta. Near Uluru stands Katachuta, or the Olgas, a cluster of massive dome formations composed of a coarser rock called conglomerate. Geologically, both Uluru and Katachuta were formed from material deposited in a massive ancient basin, but their different compositions led them to tilt, fold, and erode into different surface shapes. Fact 21. Australia's extreme tides. Australia experiences some of the world's most extreme tidal ranges, particularly in the northwest, around the Kimberley coast. King Sound has a tidal range that can exceed 36 feet or 11 meters. This immense fluctuation completely changes the coastal geography twice a day, exposing vast mudflats and carving dramatic rocky shores. Fact 20. The Bungle Bungle Range. The Bungle Bungle Range in Western Australia is famous for its unique cone-shaped sandstone domes, striped with orange and gray bands. This striking pattern is the result of water seepage and biological growth, stabilizing different layers of the porous sandstone, creating a massive, beehive-like geographical marvel. Fact 19. The Darling Fault. The Darling Fault is a major geological feature running over 600 miles, or 1,000 kilometers, along the southwestern coast of Western Australia. It's an ancient normal fault that separates the extremely old, hard rock of the Yilgarn Craton from the younger coastal basin, dramatically influencing the local hydrology and mineral deposits. Fact 18. The vastness of unsurveyed land. Due to its sheer, dry scale and geographical remoteness, large areas of the interior are still officially marked on some government maps with the status unsurveyed. These are geographically challenging regions that have yet to be mapped and documented with the same precision as the coast and settled areas. Fact 17. The Continental Divide's misnomer. The Great Dividing Range is often incorrectly referred to as the Continental Divide. While it does separate eastward and westward flowing rivers, the vast portion of the continent's interior drains into the Lake Eyre Basin, an endorheic basin, meaning its waters never reach the ocean, making the continent's hydrological system more complex than a simple oceanic divide. Fact 16. The Head of the Bite's Nursery. The head of the bite in the Great Australian Bight is a geographically vital, sheltering calving ground for the southern right whale. The combination of shallow, protected waters, nutrient-rich upwelling, and calm conditions created by the local marine geography provides ideal conditions for the whales to raise their young. Fact 15. The Red Earth. The iconic deep red color of much of Australia's arid soil is due to the high presence of iron oxides, or rust. This is a result of millennia of deep weathering and a lack of moisture to wash away the oxidized iron compounds, creating the continent's famous, vibrant red palette, especially in the red center. Fact 14. The River of Stone. In some arid areas, especially in the Flinders Ranges, ancient riverbeds have dried up and now appear as fossilized rivers of stone. These are remnants of vast, ancient drainage systems that flowed when the climate was much wetter, offering crucial geological clues to the continent's dramatic climatic shifts over time. Fact 13. The Wave Rock Feature. Wave Rock in Western Australia is a curved, overhanging rock formation that looks exactly like a massive breaking ocean wave. This unique concave shape was carved by ancient weathering and chemical erosion from water runoff over millennia, not by ocean waves, showcasing the bizarre effects of subsurface weathering on granite. Fact 12. The Australian Alps. The highest peaks of the Great Dividing Range, known as the Australian Alps, receive significant snowfall in winter. This geographical anomaly in a generally hot country is vital, as the slow-melting snow peak feeds the headwaters of the Murray-Darling River system, providing water for a large part of the nation. Fact 11. The Pinnacles Desert. The Pinnacles Desert in Western Australia is famous for thousands of towering, irregular limestone spires jutting out of the yellow sand. These unique geological features were formed by the dissolution of shell-rich sand over time, leaving behind the harder, resistant limestone columns. Fact 10. The Salt Lakes. Vast areas of the interior are dotted with numerous salt lakes, shallow ephemeral bodies of water where high evaporation rates have concentrated mineral salts. These landscapes are often stark white and change dramatically after rare rainfall events, forming thick salt crusts. Fact 9. The Coral Sea's Depth. The Coral Sea, which borders Queensland, is one of the world's deepest marine areas. Its deep trenches and abyssal plains, created by ancient subduction zones, are a stark contrast to the shallow Great Barrier Reef, creating an extreme marine geographical division just offshore. Fact 8. The Monotremes Refuge. The survival of unique Australian mammals like the platypus and echidna, or monotremes, is largely attributed to the continent's long geological isolation. This separation allowed these ancient species to evolve and survive without competition from placental mammals until relatively recently. Fact 7. The Red Centre's Geological Dome. The Red Centre, home to Uluru and Alice Springs, is located on a massive geological uplift known as the Amadeus Basin. This entire area is essentially a vast geological dome that was folded and uplifted, causing the erosion of soft layers and the exposure of the ancient, colorful rock layers to the surface. Fact 6. The Dampier Peninsula's Red Tides. The Dampier Peninsula in Western Australia experiences massive changes in its coastal geography due to the immense tides and extreme weathering of the iron-rich earth, creating dramatic red rock formations and staining the coastal waters during rainy periods. Fact 5. The Giant Forests of Tasmania. Tasmania's wet geography allows for the growth of the world's tallest flowering plant, the Tasmanian blue gum, or Eucalyptus globulus, and the mountain ash, Eucalyptus regnans. These towering trees thrive in the high rainfall and deep soil of the island's cool, temperate forests. Fact 4. The Pilbara's Iron Ore. Western Australia's Pilbara region is geographically significant as one of the world's most concentrated sources of iron ore. The deposits are remnants of ancient banded iron formations, or BIFs, which formed when oxygen first appeared in the Earth's atmosphere billions of years ago. Fact 3. The Cape York Peninsula's Split. The Cape York Peninsula in Queensland is the geographical meeting point of the Great Barrier Reef, east, and the Gulf of Carpentaria, west. This narrow northern extremity experiences a unique split of ecosystems and marine geography, influencing weather patterns. Fact 2. The Antarctic Connection. Australia was once connected to Antarctica as part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Its modern-day cold climate in the south and its unique flora, like certain types of Banksia, are remnants of this ancient, frozen geographical connection, illustrating plate tectonics. Fact 1. The Continental Drift Rate. Because Australia sits on a central, fast-moving part of the Indo-Australian plate, it is technically the fastest-moving continent on the planet, drifting north towards Asia at an unusual rate of about 2.7 inches or 7 centimeters per year. The entire continent is literally moving toward the equator and will eventually collide with Asia. From the 4.4 billion-year-old crust of the West to the subterranean sea of the Great Artesian Basin, and from the flat vastness of the Nullarbor to the living coral of the Great Barrier Reef, Australia's geography is a spectacular study in extremes, age, and magnificent isolation. If this deep dive into the sheer scale and geological absurdity of the land down under gave you a new appreciation, show your support. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe for more detailed facts and fascinating geography. And most importantly, drop a comment below and tell us which Australian geographical feature, the 4.4 billion-year-old rocks or the horizontal falls, you'd want to visit first. We'll see you next time.